for opening stock of raw material, you are going to add the purchase of raw material and carriage inward. The total of direct material, direct labor, direct expenses is called prime cost. For cost of production, add opening stock of finished goods and less closing stock of finished goods. You're going to get some balance here. This balance is called cost of goods sold. If profit is not given, just the difference between the total cost and the sales is going to be your profit. Hello everyone, I am Arun Kumar, lecturer in Department of Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Welcome to this session 2 on chapter 1, that is Introduction to Cost Accounting. So dear students, in this session, we will be knowing about the format for computation of cost sheet. If you know the format for computation of cost sheet, then obviously it will be very easy to you to solve the problems based on computation of cost sheet. So first you are supposed to write the heading, that is computation of cost sheet for the period, like for 1 month or for 6 months or for 1 year. Whatever the duration, whatever the period that will be given in the problem, you are supposed to write computation of cost sheet. Then you are supposed to write production. Yes, in the problem, he will be giving you the production, that is the number of units produced and sold. So if you get this production in the problem, just you are going to write here in the production column. So production is going to help you to find out per unit cost. It's going to find out per unit cost. So for example, if the number of units produced is 10,000 units, so write 10,000 units, finished. Okay, if number of units produced is 10,000 units, write 10,000 units, finished. Next, you are supposed to make 4 columns: particulars, amount, total cost and per unit cost. Particulars, amount, total cost and per unit cost. So you are supposed to make 4 columns. So after this, in particulars, first you are supposed to take the opening stock of raw materials. Direct material comes first in the cost sheet. So in direct material, first comes as opening stock of raw material. If just direct material is given in the problem, just take direct material. If opening stock of raw material is given, then first take the opening stock of raw material. For that, add purchase of raw material. So for opening stock of raw material, add purchase of raw material and also add carriage inward. Add carriage inward. So for opening stock of raw material, you are going to add the purchase of raw material and carriage inward. So total these 3, you will get some total. So from that total, from this one, yes, from this total, less closing stock of raw material. Yes, you are going to deduct or less the closing stock of raw material. So if you deduct the closing stock of raw material, you will get some balance here. Okay, you will get some balance here in the total cost amount. Okay, so in the total cost amount column. If you want to know per unit cost of direct material, okay, if you want to know the per unit cost of direct material, so whatever the amount you are going to get here divided by number of units produced, you are going to get per unit cost. Next, direct labor. So after computing direct material by adding opening stock of raw material, add purchase, add carriage inward, less closing stock, you are going to get some balance. This balance is going to called materials consumed. Next, direct labor. So direct labor, there will be no adjustment with respect to direct labor. So you are taking it in the total cost amount. So if you want to know the per unit cost, again this value divided by number of units produced. Next, direct wages. So here you are going to take direct wages in the total cost column. Again, if you want to know per unit cost, the amount what you are going to get here, the total cost divided by number of units produced. You are going to get per unit cost. So first in the cost sheet, you are going to take 3 items. Those 3 items are direct material, direct labor and direct wages. So what you are going to do after this, you are going to add those 3 items. So which item? Direct labor, direct wages, direct expenses. So if you add those 3 items, you are going to get some total. Okay, this total is called what? Prime cost. The total of direct material, direct labor, direct expenses is called prime cost. So for prime cost, add factory overhead. So what is this factory overhead? Factory overhead is nothing but the expenditures occurred with respect to factory. So what and all expenditures occurred or incurred in factory, those expenditures comes under factory overhead. For example, electricity, depreciation on plants, repair on plant and machinery. So these all comes under factory. So which are all the items comes under factory overhead? What you are going to do? You are going to take all the items here. So you are going to add factory overhead to the prime cost. You are going to get some value. So for this value, add opening stock of work in progress. You are going to add the work in progress with this value with factory overhead. You will get some balance. From that less closing stock of work in progress, you will get the balance. So from this balance, less sale of scrap. So after deducting, you are going to get the total cost with respect to factory overhead. So you are going to know the per unit by dividing it by number of units produced. So for prime cost, add factory overhead, you will get some total. This total is called what? The total is called work cost or factory cost. So the total of prime cost and factory cost is called what? Factory cost or work cost. Next, moving further, for that add office and administration overhead. So for work cost, add office and administration overhead. That means the items or the expenses which are relating to office, salary paid, stationery, printing and postage, this all comes under office and administration expenses. So add those items. Next, divide by number of units produced, you will get per unit cost. So add that. And for work cost, if you add office and administration overhead, you will get some total. This total is called cost of production. Next, for cost of production, add opening stock of finished goods and less closing stock of finished goods. You are going to get some balance here. This balance is called cost of goods sold. So cost of goods sold, for that add selling and distribution overhead. Add selling and distribution overhead. Selling and distribution overhead is nothing but the expenses which are relating to selling and distribution. For example, advertisement, showroom rent, okay, and traveling with the purpose of selling the goods or to meet the clients. That all comes under selling and distribution overhead. So add that with cost of goods sold. You are going to get some total. This total is called what? The total is called total cost. So for total cost, add profit. You are going to get again some total. The total is called sales. Sometimes it will not be giving you the profit. Directly it will be giving you the sales. So you are going to find out the total cost. Just leave a line and take sales. The difference between the total cost and sales. The difference between the total cost and sales is going to be the profit. If profit is given, directly take the profit. If profit is not given, just the difference between the total cost and the sales is going to be your profit. So now let us solve a basic problem with respect to cost sheet so that you will easily understand how to solve the cost sheet. So before solving the problem, I am telling you that what is factory overhead, what is office and distribution overhead, and what is selling and distribution overhead. So here are some expenditures. Just you have to make out for which kind of overhead that particular expenditure belongs to. The first thing, raw material. So where you will take raw material? You are going to take raw material to find prime cost, right? Prime cost. Next, wages. So where wages comes? Wages comes again prime cost. If wages is given, it comes under prime cost. Okay. Indirect wages. If we give you indirect wages, then it is belongs to factory cost or factory overhead. Next, for example, direct expenses. Again, this comes under prime cost. Next, fuel. So where we use more fuel? Obviously in factory. So this fuel comes under factory expenditure. So factory cost. Next, factory rent. So factory rent belongs to which kind of expenditure? Factory overhead. So this factory rent belongs to factory cost. So general expenses. So usually general expenses always comes in, yes, office overhead or office cost. Okay. Always the general expenses comes under office cost. Salary. Usually who makes the salary? Who pays the salary? Obviously office. So office cost. Next, salesman salary. So salesman. Who is called salesman? The person who sells the final product, finished product. So selling and distribution. So salesman salary belongs to selling cost. Next, per. So where we are going to use more per? Obviously in factory. So per belongs to factory cost. Next, repair of plant. So where we'll be having the plants? Obviously in factory. So repair of plant belongs to factory cost. Advertisement. So when advertisement is required at the end of the selling the finished products, so it comes under selling cost. Next, stationery, obviously office cost. Next, postage, yes, it is also belongs to office cost. Telephone charges, again it is also belongs to office cost. So warehouse charges, so where this warehouse comes? So we use this warehouse to store the finished goods, so this comes under selling cost. Next, salesman commission, yes, salesman, selling and distribution, so selling cost. Next, carriage outward, yes, selling cost. So if you know the particular expenditure where it belongs to, then it is very easy to solve the problem to compute the total cost of a particular entity. So this is how first we are supposed to segregate each and every item so that easily we can solve the problem. So now solve the first problem with respect to computation of cost sheet. From the following particulars, prepare a cost sheet for the year ending 31st March 2022. So direct material 3 lakh, direct wages 1,50,000, direct expenses 1 lakh, factory overhead 2 lakh, office overhead 30,000, selling and distribution overhead rupees 60,000. So by using this information, we are supposed to find out the total cost. So to find out the cost sheet, the format is computation of cost sheet and production. So production is not given. So what we are going to do, we are going to make 3 columns. Okay, we are going to make 3 columns. So particulars, amount. Okay, we are going to make 3 columns, particulars, amount. So first what we are supposed to consider? So first we are supposed to consider the direct material. So first write direct material. Direct material. So what is the value of direct material in the problem? It is rupees 3 lakhs. So write down 3 lakh rupees. Okay. Next, direct labor. Direct labor. So what is the value of direct labor in the problem? That is wages. So direct labor, direct wages, both are same. It is rupees 1,50,000. So direct labor 1,50,000. So write down 1,50,000. Next one, direct expenses. So what is the value of direct expenses? Rupees 1 lakh. So now write down direct expenses. Direct expenses rupees, how much? It is rupees 1 lakh. So write down 1 lakh rupees here. So direct expenses 1 lakh. So now add these 3 items. You are going to get what? Yes, you are going to get prime cost. So 3 lakh plus 1 lakh 50, 4 lakh 50, 4 lakh 50 plus 1 lakh, 5 lakh 50,000. So this 5 lakh 50,000 is called what? Prime cost. So 5 lakh 50,000 is called prime cost. So for prime cost, add factory overhead. So for prime cost, add factory overhead. So what is the factory overhead given in the problem? The value. So in the problem they had given factory overhead rupees 2 lakh. So factory overhead is how much? Rupees 2 lakhs. Rupees 2 lakhs. So add 2 lakh rupees with 5 lakh 50,000, you will get 7 lakh 50,000. You will get 7 lakh 50,000. 7 lakh 50,000 is called what? Work cost. 7 lakh 50,000 is called work cost. So for work cost, add office overhead. Add office overhead or office and administrative overhead. So if you add office and administrative overhead to the work cost, what you are going to get? You are going to get cost of production. So what is the office overhead? Office expenses? It is rupees 30,000. So office expenses is rupees 30,000. So write down rupees 30,000 here. So 30,000. 30,000. So add 30,000, 7,80,000. So you will get 7,80,000. This 7,80,000 is called cost of production. 7,80,000 is called cost of production. So for cost of production, add selling overhead or selling and distribution overhead. Selling overhead or selling and distribution overhead. So what is the cost given in the problem? The selling overhead is rupees 60,000. So write down 60,000 here. So add this 60,000 with 7,80,000. You are going to get 8,40,000. You are going to get 8,40,000. This 8,40,000 is called what? Total cost. Total cost. So this is how you are supposed to find out the total cost of a particular entity. So first we are supposed to take direct material, direct labor, direct expenses. You are going to get some value. That value is called prime cost. For prime cost, add factory overhead. Then you are going to get some total. This total is called work cost. For work cost, add office overhead. Then you are going to get some total. The total is called cost of production. For cost of production, you are going to add selling and distribution overhead. You are going to get some total. This total is called total cost. So this is the basic problem which I solved now. Okay. See, sometime if he is going to give you opening stock of raw material, where we will take the opening stock of raw material? Yes, here in direct material, first we are going to take the opening stock of raw material. For that we are going to add purchase of raw material and add carriage inward less closing stock of raw material, in case if they give opening stock and closing stock of raw material in the problem. Next, if they give opening stock of work in progress and closing stock of work in progress. So after finding out the factory overhead, we are going to add the opening stock of work in progress and less the closing stock of work in progress. If opening stock of finished goods and closing stock of finished goods is given in the problem, then we will be taking it after office and administration overhead. So after office and administration overhead, we are going to add opening stock of finished goods and less closing stock of finished goods. So this is the basic problem what we solved now. So let us move on to the second problem. So from the following particulars, prepare a statement of cost sheet for the month of October 2016. So these are the informations given. So direct material. So where direct material comes? Yes, direct material comes in prime cost, right? Next, productive wages. Again, productive wages is nothing but direct wages. It comes under prime cost. Next, chargeable expenses. Yes, direct expenses are also called as chargeable expenses. This also comes under prime cost. Next, depreciation on plant and machinery. So depreciation on plant and machinery comes under factory cost, right? Factory cost. Next, office building. Depreciation on office building. This comes under office cost. Next, rent of office building relating to office cost. Rent of factory building relating to factory cost. Salaries belonging to office cost. Next, general expenses belongs to office cost. Carriage outward belongs to selling cost. Next, salesman commission. This belongs to selling cost. Next, indirect wages belongs to factory cost. Next, advertisement belongs to selling cost, and sales we will be considering it at the last. So we segregated each and every element, cost element, where it belongs to. So now let us solve the problem. So computation of cost sheet. So we are going to make 3 columns. Okay, here we are not finding out the per unit value, just we are finding out the total cost. So the element of cost, rupees, and total cost. So first what we are supposed to consider? We are supposed to consider direct material, wages, and chargeable expenses. So in the problem, the value is direct material 70, productive wages 54, and chargeable expenses 26. So first write down those 3 items, 70, 54, 26. The total you will get is rupees prime cost. Okay, the total you will get rupees 1,50,000. That 1,50,000 is called prime cost. Next, for prime cost, add works overhead. That means factory overhead. Works overheads and factory overhead both are same. So for factory overhead, in the problem, we have 3 to 4 items. That is depreciation on plant and machinery of rupees 4,500, rent of factory building of rupees 10,000, and also we have indirect wages of rupees 1,500 rupees. So add those items. So for works overhead, that is for factory overhead, depreciation on plant 4,500 and rent of factory building 10,500 and indirect wages of rupees 1,500. Totally you are going to get 16,500. So add 16,500 with 1,50,000. You are going to get some total. This total is called works cost. This total is called works cost or factory cost. So 1,66,500 is the total. So moving next, for works cost, add administrative overhead. Add administrative overhead. So in the problem, you can see depreciation on office building comes under administrative overhead, that is office cost. Next, rent of office building, here this one comes under office cost. Next, salaries comes under office cost. General expenses comes under office cost. So write down those points. So depreciation on office building 2,750, rent of office building 3,250, salaries 5,800, general expenses 1,200. So 13,000. Add 13,000 with works cost of rupees 1,66,500. So you will get 1,79,500. This value is called cost of production. Next, for cost of production, add selling and distribution overhead. Add selling and distribution overhead. So in that we have 3 items, that is carriage outward, salesman commission and advertisement. So total value comes to 9,000. So add 9,000 with 1,79,500. You will get 1,88,500. This value is called cost of sales or total cost. So sales is given in the problem. Profit is not given, but the sales is given in the problem. So what is the sales? It is rupees 2,16,000. Sales is 2,16,000. So now leave a line after total cost and take total sales 2,16,000. So difference between the total cost and sales is 27,500. This 27,500 is called what? Profit. So this is how we are supposed to solve. So next, moving on to the next problem. So problem number 3, from the following information, prepare a cost sheet for the year ending 31st December 2021. So these are the informations given. So opening stock of raw materials is given. Next, opening stock of work in progress is given. Opening stock of finished goods is given. Next, closing stock of raw material, closing stock of work in progress, closing stock of finished goods is given. Next, purchase of raw material. Yes, we are going to add this purchase of raw material with opening stock of raw material. Next, carriage inward. Again, we are going to add this carriage inward to the purchase of raw material. Next, sale of scrap. So we are going to deduct the sale of scrap after deducting the closing stock of work in progress. Next, wages comes under prime cost. Direct expenses comes under prime cost. Administrative overhead comes under, yes, office cost. Next, works on cost is nothing but factory cost. Works on cost is nothing but factory cost. Next, sale of finished goods. Yes, this is the total sales, that is 14,50,000. Selling and distribution expenses comes under, yes, selling cost. So by using this information, we are supposed to solve the problem. So again, we are going to make 3 columns, okay? That is elements of cost, rupees and total cost. So first we are going to write direct material. In that, opening stock. Yes, what is the opening stock value of raw material? The value of opening stock of raw material is 37,500. So first we are supposed to write the opening stock of raw material 37,500. For that, add purchase of raw material. So value of purchase of raw material is 4,90,000 and carriage inward is rupees 7,500. Add these 3 items, you will get 5,35,000. So from 5,35,000 less closing stock of raw materials. So if you deduct the closing stock of raw material, you are going to get 5,12,000. This 5,12,000 is called what? Materials consumed. 5,12,000 is called materials consumed. Next, wages. So for wages, it is 2,25,000 and direct expenses is rupees 1,50,000. So add these three items, you'll get 8,87,500. If you add that, you'll get 8,87,500. And next, from that 8,87,000, you're going to add the work cost, that is factory cost of rupees 1,37,500. You're going to get some total. The total is 10,25,000. So total is called 10,25,000. This 10,25,000 is called what? Work cost or factory cost. So next, moving further, less sale of scrap. So less sale of scrap of rupees 7,500, you'll get the balance of 10,17,500. So for that, add opening stock of work in progress and less closing stock of work in progress, you'll get the balance of rupees 10,20,500. This value is called work cost. Next, administrative overhead. Add administrative overhead to the work cost. So administrative overhead is rupees 60,000. So add 60,000 to the work cost, you'll get 10,80,500. This is called cost of production. Next, add opening stock of finished goods less closing stock of finished goods. After doing this, you're going to get rupees 10,85,000. This value is called cost of goods sold. So for that, add selling and distribution expenses of rupees 1,25,000. You will get 12,10,000. This 12,10,000 is called what? Total cost. So for total cost, add profit. So profit is not given, sales is given, 14,50,000. Difference between the sales and total cost is rupees 2,40,000. This 2,40,000 is called what? Profit. So this is how we are supposed to solve the problem. So with this, I'm going to wind up this session. So we'll meet in the upcoming session. Until then, thank you all.